Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So, very interesting day. Started off this morning. Nasdaq futures are up 40. S&P futures were like flat. We're like, it looks a little odd. And we mentioned, hey, what are we going to do here? Are we going to open up and sell off and the strength be sold like it was post Facebook, big gap up? Or would it be bought all day long, kind of like what happened in Netflix earlier on in the rally? Well, within the first 5 to 10 minutes, most of the tech names all went red. Okay, Amazon went red, Baba, Facebook, Netflix. Netflix was like even red before it started. So anyway, so some of you guys that shorted the early morning strength versus yesterday's highs did really well. Talked about shorting Amazon versus 1,007. I think it went to, on the RAA, it went as low as 981. But then, after the initial push down, and all the selling dried up, then we lifted and we lifted in certain areas. So at this point, the tape is still very vulnerable, so you have to be very careful where you're buying, where you're selling, how many things you're exposed to. But there are definitely things to do with the right tactics. So if you look here real quickly at the chart of the S&P cash still above the 21-day, still going sideways, very choppy, but hanging in there. And as long as it stays above this area, there might be a chance for it to continue higher. Remember how choppy this was when it was testing the 50-day, and then all of a sudden, cleared this descending channel. Took a lot of time to do so. Well, now it's still above the 8 and 21 days, so that looks, pretty fair. The Qs and tech are a little vulnerable in my humble opinion. Why do I say that? Just because, you had the Dow making a new high today. You had the S&P not down much, and this opened up through this pivot and kind of failed. But what did it do? It held the 21-day. So now you're still, in this inside range, still below the bottom third of this wide range bar. So the bears are still, or the sellers are in somewhat active control, not on a macro basis. On a macro basis, you're talking, big uptrend, it's intact, and tech's been awesome. And, last time we had a little bit of a corrective phase was, when this broke here and then was retested right there, and then you made a lower low to then make all-time highs. So the question is, does this break in time and test a 50-day or test this gap, which is right here, or does it hold sideways and then continue to the higher? I personally don't think that we're going to make a new high here in August, but we'll see. Okay, no need to make big calls. Let's just trade them. IBB gave a little red dog reversal. I did buy some. Why did I buy some? Because we sold some on this outside day up here, so I figured, if they want the bias to be halfway decent, it's going to have to hold around there. So I bought a little bit with the red dog reversal tactic around 314.56. I don't expect huge move, but maybe you get a little bit of follow through tomorrow, and we'll see how this little descending trend line fares. Big move in the bios and still holding here, but you have to be a bit more careful, as the last move we made here. I don't think that happens again, but we shall see. XLF is looking strong. I don't know if it's anticipating a big jobs report or deregulation or XRX. All I know is, here you are back near highs, holding in there. Those of you guys in Citigroup, it's looking good. It broke above 69, gave you a chance to retest it today and still acts well. Those, I bought JP Morgan back because if the banks are going to go one more time, this is best in breed and it's hanging in there. And, I'd probably be buying it if it takes this out. So I might as well be in, I might as well be in some, first maybe here, let it go sideways and then buy some for a breakout. Probably is going to need a very strong jobs report or more hawkish talk. Right now it's still hanging in there and looking better than most things, out there. As far as Apple, not the easiest trade. I kind of screwed it up a little bit myself. I bought too early. I was a little too worried about the FOMO. I should have just waited for it to retest this spot, which was right near the the prior highs here. So now if it could continue to hold this gap, I do think there'll be another trade above this. If it happens to trade below this pivot, it probably would be a little annoying, but it is what it is. At this point, it's looking good. Didn't have a pre-earnings run. This is your channel here from 140 to 156. You're thinking the measured move, or I'm thinking the measured move could be, a little bit north and closer to this, 170 area. How it gets there, I'm not sure. If it happens to hold this pivot and go sideways, I think it happens faster, and you could be buyer above this for a nice trade. If it happens to hold here and break into the gap, then we're talking about a choppy trade that will not be the most fun for the course of the summer. and then you're talking about Amazon. Amazon, it too gave you an outside day after earnings, and then gave you a little bit of a trying to do a red dog reversal here. I still think it needs time to be very specific, but by reclaiming this 987, gave some people, a way back in. For me, I didn't go with it. I just had other things going on, and plus I have fast money tonight at 520. So here's your resistance in Amazon. We'll see if this holds versus that. And that's really it. I'm sorry I have to be quick. I have a 520 fast money appearance tonight. If you still feel lost and you want more updates, and you're like, where's Red Dog on the public Twitter feed? I'm in the private Twitter feed all day. It's only $9.99 a month. That's 40 to 50 cents a day. And I do think it's definitely worth you switching over with the amount of support and the new resources I have for you. I think it could help continue to guide you and get you in a better position to be prepared for when things happen fast, and then you could execute on it. I'm not going to always force feed you. I'm not always going to throw the fish in the boat, but I'll prepare you with lots of different if-thens, and then you get to execute at least being aware. And then every now and then I will throw a fish in the boat, and it's always nice to get a little free food. I'll see you in the morning call. Have a good day. Good night.